Hello, my name is Stephanie and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be doing a review of my degree that I just finished at the University of Oxford, which was the MSc in Modern Languages, and today I will just go over all of the ins and outs of my course and my experience on this course and some of the advice that I'd like to give all of you who are either starting this degree or who are applying to this degree. So let's get going. First of all, I do want to say that this is all based on my personal experience. Somebody else's experience could have been totally different from mine. This is my personal experience. Let's do this. But first of all, I think the big elephant in the room for me is the fact that I entered Oxford during COVID, which was obviously different from anything else. This did mean that I never had an in-person seminar. During my entire year, everything has been on Microsoft Teams, which is very unfortunate because a lot of other students, the students that I was sharing a flat with, they had person or some hybrid version going on in terms of seminars, which I'm not really happy with looking back. However, I guess it's life. A lot of people did online uni this year and it is what it is, really. So in my first term, which is Michaelmas, I took Francophone literature. I really liked the professors, I really enjoyed it, and I also really liked the structure of this particular module that I took, as we kind of had a week off in the middle, which was really nice to have just a week to get going again on reading and make sure that you tie up some loose ends that you have. I think the main thing that massively saved me in my first term at Oxford, because obviously there is a lot going on, you have Freshers Week, you're joining new societies, and there will be so much fun things going on at college. However, I think the one thing that truly saved me was starting to read early. So I got my reading list with primary and secondary reading on there, I think at late August, and immediately I just bought all of my books, started reading them ASAP. Obviously you don't have to buy your books, you can just borrow them from a library, but anyways, I got my books and I started reading immediately. So my first week I've read every single book that was on my reading list, which saved me so much time during my terms. It allowed me to focus more on secondary material during term time. It also allowed me more time to actually write my essay, and also allowed me way more time to do fun stuff. And the primary reading material was about 12 novels. So then we get to the actual seminar. So I had my first ever seminar and I did not really know what to expect because obviously I've never been taught in the UK before. I'm an international student. I have been to uni in both the Netherlands and in the United States, but never in the UK. So I did not know quite what to expect, but I prepared for it like I would normally do in the United States, and I kind of came in with that same attitude. And to my big surprise, it was a lot of discussion, way more than I'm ever used to. And it's probably because it's a master's degree, so it makes a lot more sense. But everybody really came in very well prepared. Everybody had several ideas about their essays, and we had a discussion with the professor and each other, which was really lovely, which also means that your professor is kind of there as more of like a referee in terms of the discussion. They can steer where the discussion is going, they can add some things, and obviously you can ask questions if you're unsure about something, but it's very much discussion-based learning, which is absolutely wonderful because honestly, I don't think this is like the one year that I've learned the most in my entire life. So I thought it was extremely helpful. And one of the main pros about discussion-based learning is that if you already have kind of decided what you want to write your essay about, you can kind of come in and test whether your ideas are actually good or just absolutely wild, because you kind of get that feedback from your professors and your peers. And sometimes somebody says something and you're like, oh wait, I never really looked at it from that specific perspective, and it can add like a very valuable angle to either your essay, or well, your angle can offer a valuable angle to somebody else's essay. So it's very collaborative and it's really fun, and I think it's definitely the best way of learning that I have ever experienced. So then you have your 10th week deadline, which is the week in which you will be submitting 2 essays or one larger one, and prior to that you have gotten feedback on your essays as well, the ones that you submitted. And I think in about like 7th or 8th week you'll get your feedback, and then you have about 2 weeks or a little over 2 weeks to actually work on those 2 specific essays. And my main takeaway from that is really start ASAP with implementing your feedback, because honestly it's so much more chill to just put in like a couple of hours in each day instead of doing everything in the last week. By doing it this way, you create more time for yourself to actually read over your essay, to make sure that you aren't including any spelling mistakes, to make sure that your argument actually makes sense, and also to kind of see the whole bigger picture of your essay and make smaller adjustments adjustments, because in the end your adjustments always are better if you have time to also step away from your essay, if that makes sense. So really my main takeaway would be really use those 2 weeks and start early. So then we have Hilary term, which is my absolute least favorite term out of all, and that was mainly because COVID and everybody was sent home. So I was sitting in the Netherlands trying to do my Oxford degree, and it was just weird. Graduate students, however, though, were able to return, because often graduates live in graduate accommodation, which is not on college site, or they live with a private landlord or something along those lines. And as long as you didn't live in college, you were able to come back. So I did come back in the end for the last bit of Hilary, but it was just so weird because everybody's at home. Because normally in Michaelmas we were all in this massive bubble together. We were all working really hard and studying, and we were all living in Oxford in our little bubble, and then all of a sudden everybody is kind of ripped out of their bubble, yet there's still the same expectations for us. It was a bit strange. Also, I took a module that probably was not the best idea to take. I took 19th century prose, which is very interesting, and my main reason for actually taking this module was that I really wanted to know more about 19th century prose, because during my undergrad they at one point were talking about 19th century prose, and I ended up with massive concussion, and I still completed that specific module in Amsterdam, and apparently I read my books, but I just don't remember anything. I just don't, like, to be honest, like the entire couple of months that are surrounding that module for me are just gone because of my concussion, and I still don't really know how I actually managed to just continue with that module and still get a good mark for it. But anyway, so I don't really remember anything. So in short, I just ended up with a bunch of 19th century specialists, and I was there as a beginner having very little knowledge about 19th century prose. So main thing I've learned from that, really use your master to specialize and not use it to kind of create more knowledge about it. And obviously 19th century prose is helpful to my research area, which is Francophone literature, because it kind of all flows into that out of 19th century prose, and it's always good to have a good understanding of 19th century prose if you're looking into what I'm doing. However, I should probably pick something a bit more modern. Then in both Hilary and Michaelmas, I also had a larger module, which was a method option, and I believe that there are 4 options that you can choose from, and those are for all of the language students within modern languages. So you'll come across people studying German or Russian or any other language really. So I picked key questions in critical thought, which I thought was incredibly interesting because it was talking about a lot of different literary theories, and it was also covering a couple ones that are maybe a bit more obscure or I didn't know as much about as I wanted to. So I thought it was an incredible course. Again, great professors, I really enjoyed it and I learned a lot about it. The only massive downside to this method option, in my personal opinion, was the 5,000 word essay that we needed to write about it, because it was something that all of us, as far as I kind of grasped from all of my peers, this was something that we all had never done before, as we were writing about a theory instead of implementing the theory. So we as literature students tend to read texts and then we implement theories from other people and other ideas into those texts, and then we write an essay about that. That's kind of sort of how it works. However, in this specific module, we had to write about a theory, which is something that I personally had never done before, and some of my close friends in the course, same thing, they had never done that before. So we were kind of struggling with that for a bit. Still, it was an absolute wonderful experience if you're thinking of doing a PhD, because if you're going that route, you are going to run into this way more often. So it was certainly very helpful. However, it was meant to be really and truly our own little project, so we got very little feedback on it, which meant that I had one-on-one with the professor about my idea, and that was really it. And then I was on my own. Still, I'm very happy I took this module because I absolutely learned a lot, and I keep on saying that, but I absolutely did. However, I do think that for me personally, it would have been slightly more valuable to have one more option to submit my draft, to get feedback on the actual draft, and then submit the actual thing. As you probably understand now, I had a 10th week deadline, so I needed to submit all of my portfolio work in 10th week, which meant that I had to submit a 5,000 word essay for my method option, and I needed to submit 2 essays or one larger one for my special subject. So my Hilary 10th week was absolutely insane. I had so much stuff to submit. It was a lot of hard work, and us actually not being in Oxford did not really help the entire situation. However, we survived it, but it was absolutely a crazy deadline. It was absolutely insane. So then we go to Trinity term, which is my favorite term out of all. I absolutely loved Trinity term. I thought Trinity term was wonderful. So in Trinity term, I worked on my dissertation. It was amazing. I worked with 2 different supervisors. One left halfway through because she had other commitments that she needed to do, so they swapped. So I got a different supervisor later on, which is totally fine. Like, things happen, that's life. And she was absolutely lovely, and afterwards the professor, was it he, and he was also absolutely lovely, and they helped me a lot. They helped me quite a lot with narrowing my subject down, because I'm one of those researchers, I don't want to exclude anything. I'm interested in literally everything. However, you have to narrow down, and I really struggle with that because I don't want to exclude potential great ideas that I can have about certain pieces. But again, I need to narrow down a lot, and they were very helpful, and they helped me out a lot with narrowing my subject down. On top of that, I really enjoyed working on my own dissertation. I got to plan my own time, what worked best for me, and also I talked a lot with my supervisor, especially the last supervisor that I had, because he was obviously going to look at my draft. So I spoke to him about all of the things that I could do and how to kind of go around this whole dissertation thing. And what really worked for me was setting deadlines and goals for myself on a weekly basis to make sure that I was keeping on track. Also, I'll calculate in some error time for if I needed that, because you know, something can always happen. And I asked my supervisor, which was extremely helpful, by when he wants to have my draft. Main takeaway here: talk to your supervisor, ask him by when he wants to have your draft, because honestly, every single supervisor is different, and it's so helpful to just have a deadline for yourself as well. And then you can also kind of create a plan of how you are going to attack this entire dissertation thing. Anyways, I really love working on my dissertation. I loved my topic, I loved my supervisors. So all in all, I learned so much in my 1 year at Oxford, and I would 100% recommend this course because I've had such an amazing time. I learned so many things, and there are so many interesting modules that you can pick from. And all of the professors are really helpful. If you drop them an email with a question, they get back to you, they answer your question. I don't have anything to complain about it. Main takeaway I would give you is pick something that you're truly interested in and something that you want to specialize in, and don't make the same mistake I did in terms of picking 19th century prose because you just want to know more about it. You can do your own research on those types of things and pick the things that you really want to specialize in and really want to prep prior to entering a PhD. And yes, the MSc is a lot of work, it's a lot of reading, but again, it's so worth it because you're in such a bubble with everybody else, and it's just so much fun. You're all together like dealing with the same crazy workload. And my last favorite thing about MSc is the fact that there are so many modules. You can pick and choose whichever you want, so you can essentially create your entire master's degree that you want to study, which is marvelous. You can pick your method option, you can pick your 2 special subjects, and you can pick your own dissertation topic. So in essence, you can make it your own master's degree, which is very amazing, and I've not seen that at a lot of universities. And lastly, I would say that preparation really is key. Prepare. It's like the golden thing. Prepare for each seminar. You're just going to get so much more out of a seminar if you prepare really, really well for it. And it's just going to be this amazing learning experience if you prepare to the max. It's honestly, it's so worth it. So this was my review of my MSc experience at Oxford. I absolutely love the MSc in modern languages. I think it's such a great degree to do. I would highly recommend it. It's amazing. I've learned so many new things, and on top of that, with the whole Oxford experience, it has just been absolutely amazing. I will do another video solely on my Oxford experience and how I would describe that. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to see you in the next one. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Bye.